Alrighty, guys, welcome in. I am Jay, and today I wanted to talk about the idea of something that you had for a while and it's just gone. Because I dealt with something like this recently, and I want to tell you what I did to get through this. Okay, so it took me a few days to get through this subject, but I'm gonna break it down and explain it to you right here now. The best way to get through something that was awfully hard, like let's just say you had something very, very important to you and it was sad, you lost it, all right, or something got taken from you, and it was one of those things where you really, really couldn't handle dealing with the problem, so but you did anyway. The best thing that I did for this is just go about my life like it never even happened. Unfortunately, that's how I normally handle stuff. That's not me trying to get away from a situation. But for me, going about my daily life, like, example, let me show you one of the things that kept me going that was like, okay, well, I'll be okay. It's just going to take a while again. And I'm still a little, I'm not really upset by it anymore. It was a few days, but when it first happened, I was just genuinely upset with it. And I'll be explaining more, but let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is what I'm talking about. I built a page, a YouTube page, a second YouTube page, of course, along with the big one I had. And it was directed more towards video games. And then, off on the side, I had a review channel going on, which if you look, you can see quite a bit of reviews. If you scroll back here, you can just keep seeing. I did a couple reviews before the other channel died. And they weren't every single day. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes sometimes. But yeah, this was something I hung on to and I made without the intent of it going away or dying down or even dying off. I didn't realize or even think that that channel was gonna go away like that. But there are people in the world that just they don't like certain things you do, so they'll go after you and try to destroy what you do. That's just plain and simple. That's how people are. So we go over to the next one. I've had this one for a while. I'm getting subscribers off of this too, so I'm pretty happy here. And then I got this over here, which I haven't used for a while. Which I might end up using eventually again. I don't know when, but so far this channel's been a blessing. I don't get in trouble on this one, and people aren't trying to report me on this one, stuff like that. So Kick is a good place to go if you're just wanting to stream and you don't have a channel or something. I see a few people doing it and they do extremely well on it. But some of this is going to take a little bit to get back to the top or get back to where I was. And it's unfortunate because life does that sometimes. Life throws us curveballs or people just mess stuff up for us and we got to rebuild what we lost. So when I had my whole entire channel go down, I decided that I should, go about and putting content on the retro channel. But I said to myself, because I created a side channel for commenting, but I felt like there was better use for this, and that's why I'm doing this here. But to move on from something that's really, really bothering you, you have to remember, man, that there is nothing that's stopping you from moving on. You can try to go back in time all you want, but you're always moving forward. Last night was an example where I listened to a bunch of music from my early days, and it was a reminder that we're not in that time period anymore. Things were so different back then. Like I listened to a lot of like metal and punk from last night, even pop punk music last night. And it brought me to this idea that I'm still moving on. I'm here now. I'm like older than I was back when those songs came out. And what is really, really bothersome about it is I've been through a lot of events in my life that were really, really hard to get past. But we always have to remember and we always have to try to move on from situations and things that, bother us. It might take a few days. It might take a good while, but eventually things do subside. Now, try to avoid putting yourself around people that are going to remind you of your past. That's one key factor for me, that I wanted to move on so badly that there were people in my life, in my general life. I'm not saying who they are, but they are not around me any longer because they're always sitting there reminding me of horrible things I've done in my past, or horrible things that happened to me in my past. And I've come to the conclusion that a lot of them do that to me to hold me back, to make me feel like, well, I have to feel bad for that certain situation that happened like 10 years ago. And people can be like, well, that's extremely bad. Well, the thing about those situations is sometimes it wasn't just me. It takes two people to do a bad situation sometimes, especially when it's meaningful to you, or something along the line of that. You have to remember that sometimes those things are not just you, and sometimes you really, really have to, get past those things that are bothering you. And this year alone, in the past couple years, I've come to the conclusion even more that I had a lot of toxic people in my life, and there still are a lot of toxic people in the world, but there are people that genuinely will make you feel like you have to stay in that one position your whole entire life. You don't have to. You can move out of it. The best thing you do in situations like that are just pull yourself out of those people's lives. Unfortunately, if it's family, like your mother, your sister, your brother, somebody really close to your father, you gotta pull yourself away from them. You gotta get away from them sometimes, because sometimes they're not always the best people to be around. Sometimes the best people to be around are your closest friends. And, or not even that. Sometimes it's just best to go off on your own. And you're gonna have a lot of people being like, well, he's off on his own. He must have done something really horrible. Um, and yes, I'm in that situation right now where people still talk horribly about me, but people are coming around to this general idea that I'm not how I once was. Like, they are obviously seeing that it's all playing out, and it takes time. And, things eventually come up to the light, and things eventually show themselves. And the truth does show itself that, you know, people watching you in multiple situations, seeing you have multiple things happen to you that are outside of you, they know you're a good person. That's if they do talk to you and they feel appreciative of you. They'll see what's going on. But so everything I've said till now is exactly stuff that I've done to move on in my life. All those bad situations that you can't hang on to a thing that happened 20 years ago in your life to right now, or like however old you are. You can't hold on to it. You got to move on from it. It's sometimes one of the hardest things, but you got to remember you're in a different place now. You're in a different time. And if you're pulling away from it, or if you're still marching on and you're working harder than ever and you're trying your best, you're doing a good job. Keep it up. I'm in a spot where I'm doing the best I can. People still give me the hardest time. They still want me to hold on to situations, but I'm doing better than I was a few years ago. For a few years ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to do this. All this stuff back here, all these video games and the stuff behind me here. Let me turn the camera. This is stuff that I have acquired that took me a little bit of time to get this collection together. And you know why I wanted this? Because I lost it along the way. And it wasn't about going back in time and getting it, or having my mom send it to me, because, of course, my mom wasn't going to send it to me, or even go to her house and get it, because she's just weird like that. And that's why I don't really talk to her. But it wasn't about me going back in time. It was about me moving forward and just doing a hobby that most people wouldn't do, like collecting video games, and showing myself where I am now as opposed to years and years ago. I know it sounds weird, but that's just how I feel about all this, because there's stuff here that I've never would have collected before. So, and also, a lot of things around me remind me that I am in a different situation, different place in my life, and there will be people determined to remind me of a bad situation from a few years ago, or like yesterday, last week, last year, so on and so forth. And I still have it to this day. And they're gonna have to realize that one day they're going to have to let it go. They're going to have to forget it. And if they don't, well, then they lost a person that they truly cared about. And that's how you got to look at it. You know, you can care about somebody, but if they keep reminding you of horrible things you've done, it's best you move on, buddy. It's best you move on. And trust me, if you moved on and you escaped the people reminding you of stuff, then you've done a good job for yourself. And congratulations. You're on a step to moving forward. Anyway, I hope this helped you. I hope this helped somebody. I'm not sure what the next video is going to be. I'm thinking about it right now. But until then, guys, I'll see you next time. And if you like what you saw here, hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And I'll be giving you more life tips and just more life stuff about me, and you'll see who I truly am. And until then, guys, take it easy.